Hi, welcome to the first episode of Luna Nectar Universe. We're here with Nadia from Icaria.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hi, and here's Diana, our producer.
Hi, everyone.
So, Nadia, let's sign in. What's your sun sign, star sign, and rising sign?
My star sign is Gemini, my rising sign is Sagittarius, and my moon sign is Leo. So, a lot of fire.
We could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Nadia has a business that does CBD products.
Yes.
So we're here to talk more with her about CBD, cannabis, everything to do with that sort of industry and landscape.
Yeah,
so
I'm excited to share.
I know. Thank you for being here with us. So why don't we start by tell us a little bit more about Icaria? You know, how did you get that name? How did you get started? And what were you doing beforehand?
Yeah, so that was actually an interesting story because if you told me a couple of years ago that I was working any way related to cannabis, I'd be like, you're crazy. Because I never even, I smoked weed once when mom don't listen to this, when I was 18 and I sure got high and watched the cartoon. It was great. And however, I've never really tried it since. I just never got into it. And I find it's a very culturally Canadian thing to do. Mm-hmm. And being an immigrant, just never, in my circles, never anybody, and nobody ever did any cannabis. So I just never tried it again. So when I was working as a nutritionist for many years, and I was just working in general, in a wellness community. And when people would tell me to try cannabis with CBD or THC for anxiety, for stress, or whatever, I was just like, I don't get it. I'd rather have a glass of wine kind of thing. And I just didn't get the concept of it. So years go by, and then I have a couple of friends who now are using cannabis and CBD to help with their anxiety and their stress. And they kept telling me, they're like, oh, one day you should come over and we'll get high. And I'm like, okay, sure, one day. And I just kind of kept procrastinating it. And then they kept telling me also to try CBD oil. And I just kind of put it together with getting high information. And anyways, the years go by. And then I was going through a really painful breakup. And we were just talking about voice before this.
Oh, yes.
So I feel like everybody has been through this really painful breakup when you're just a mess and you're the world goes upside down and you just don't know how to deal with it. And and one of that friends, she was like, Nadia, we're trying CBD oil. And I'm at that point, I was like, you know what? At this point, I can't feel worse than I already do. Drug me, let's do this. And so we went to a dispensary, which I felt super uncomfortable going to. Not because dispensaries are uncomfortable. When you go to the first time to a health food store or I don't know, even Sephora or whatever, you feel uncomfortable. You're just I don't know where to go. I don't know where to look. I don't know where am I supposed to be here. Yeah. Out? Is it legal? It was just so on so many levels uncomfortable, and we couldn't actually find CBD oil. So we ended up going to 4 different dispensaries and ended up finding a patch. And then the next day I tried the patch, and the patch seemed really medical. So I was like, okay, at least this seems medical. So I tried the patch, and I just had the most relaxing, chilled day of my life. And I got work done. I finally was able to just focus on my life and get my shit together a little bit. And then after that, I was like, what was that? And I really went into researching it, and I found out that it was actually super healthy. You don't get high at all. It's nothing to do with drugs or anything that we've learned as kids of kids don't do that kind of thing. There's no relation to CBD oil whatsoever. It's kind of hemp seeds that we all consume, and we have no relation to cannabis, right? And then even cannabis had I figured out that there was so much politics and economy behind it, and then the politics, that's why it was illegal. There's just so much to it, and I was just so blinded to that because of my background, and I come from a more conservative family. So I just realized how I guess uneducated I was about that topic. So I started educating myself, and then got into as a nutritionist, that's kind of my specialty, is to look at the supplement and see how it affects your body. So I really dug deeper into it, and I was just shocked to find out that there's no negative side effects that they know of. And they literally there's no cases, and it's been used for so many different things. And then my friends started calling me a drug addict. So, so I was like, okay, I'm you know what? I think I need to get on this bandwagon of I think I want to start working with CBD. CBD. Right. That's kind of because I was like, if my friends, like, in order for my friends to like hear me, I feel like if I get on that, like, guys, like now I have a product, I feel like they will actually sit down and listen to me. So, which actually did happen. And most of my friends have tried CBD by now. So yeah, that's how I kind of like got into it and got into starting in my own business. Yeah.
And the name Icaria?
Yeah. So have you guys heard of Blue Zones?
No. What's that?
It's this, it's basically the scientists found this 5 places in the world where people live the longest, healthiest lives. Oh. And then there's this book, it's called Blue Zones. And then it explains, I think there's 10 different factors that they found that that were determining why people live the longest, happiest, healthiest lives. And it was like, like movement, Mediterranean diet, less stress, more sleep, community, faith, like all these things. So Icaria is one of the Blue Zones. It's the Greek one. And basically the idea of it is like the holistic lifestyle. It's like, it's not about, one supplement or, like eating healthy. It's about everything. It's about how we sleep, what kind of relationships we have, right? How we speak to ourselves, how we manage work, like it's all of that. And I feel like CBD is just like one of the tools we can use to get to that holistic lifestyle.
Oh, very interesting.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Thank you.
What are the other zones? Like, do you know, like where they are?
Yeah. So there's one in Japan. I don't know. I don't remember the names of them. One in Japan, one in Costa Rica, one in California, one in Italy, and then one in Greece. And I think the Greek one will just sound the best.
So you touched upon kind of what, CBD is and what it's good for. For a lot of people out there who are listening, who might not know what the difference between, CBD and THC, can you sort of explain a little bit kind of what the difference is? And, you mentioned that the CBD isn't, there's no psychoactive in it.
Yeah, so absolutely. So the way I like to describe it is, so they're chemical compounds called cannabinoids. Mm-hmm. And the way I like to compare them to vitamins, let's say, because we all heard of vitamins, we all understand that there's like vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, and vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin D have completely different effects from each other, right? However, it's this chemical structure that makes them all vitamins. So it's all like very similar chemical structure, they just have different functions. And same with cannabinoids. Cannabinoids is the compound that found in cannabis, but they're actually found in our body, and they're found also in other plants. They're still like researching which plants. Like people think it's turmeric, cabbage, lemon. Like they're still like exploring and studying that. And when it comes to cannabinoids, there's each one of them has a different effect. So the most 2 common ones are THC and CBD. Mm-hmm. They're the most prevalent ones. But however, there's over 130 of them. Like they keep finding new ones. And the cool part, as I said, like we have cannabinoids in our body. So it's very natural for us.
When do you know that?
We have,
interesting.
We have an endocannabinoid system in our body, which is crazy.
Perfect match.
Perfect match.
Yeah.
So when it comes to CBD and THC, it's kind of like, again, comparing like vitamin A and vitamin D, right? They're vitamins, but they have completely different effects, right? So THC is psychoactive, CBD is non-psychoactive. Mm-hmm. THC can like cause munchies, CBD balances your appetite. THC can be addictive in some cases, like psychologically sometimes addictive. CBD is been studied to be anti-addictive. So they sometimes have like the opposite qualities, and sometimes they have the same qualities. They're both anti-inflammatory. They both can be analgesic. They both can reduce anxiety. That being said, THC can also increase anxiety. So they're very complex compounds, and they can work together in synergy. They can work against each other. Like there's just so much to it. That's why, like, I personally don't work with THC at all. Like all my products have 0 THC in it, just because it's so complex. And I just like until we have more information about it and more studies. I don't want to kind of like work with it, but there are people that find like great relief with it too. When it comes to endocannabinoid system, yeah. So have you heard of endocrine system?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the same idea. So endocrine system is for hormones, right? Hormones are chemical messengers. And they, you have receptors all over your body, and it's basically like it's kind of like an email. Like one body part sends an email to another body parts, and that's a hormone. It's kind of like it's a signal, right? endocannabinoid system is the same idea. It's just the signals are cannabinoids, and they're like, those are the emails or text or whatever. Like, it's how our body communicates with each other. Like, think about how does the liver know what's happening in our stomach, right? So there's a constant like communication happening. So it's just super cool that they found this endocannabinoid system quite recently. It's only, in the 70s, I think.
Wow.
And nobody studies it we never studied it in nutrition school. Nobody studies it in medical school. Which is so it's
like a whole science behind it. I don't even realize that
it's so cool. There's so much to learn too. Like we understand it so little, which is even cooler. So yeah, I'm glad you're finding it cool.
Yeah. Did your background in nutrition helped you to figure all of this out, or did you have to do a lot of like research on your own? And
it definitely helped me a lot, just because like that's kind of like what they teach us is how to understand how things work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like they kind of like set you up to learn and educate yourself further.
So CBD has become quite a hot wellness trend and clearly has healing benefits, but many brands have jumped on this bandwagon and have created food, skincare, makeup products that are infused with CBD. And some of them have, we find, more exaggerated claims. So what are some myths or misconceptions around CBD you'd like to take this opportunity to now bust?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So I have a hard time with, in general, like health claims and my I say it and my website says it, like, CBD helps with anxiety and pain and sleep and focus and and it just sounds, when you start saying this, I'm like, it sounds like snake oil. It does, right? So what I kind of like to describe it is the only thing it does, it balances your body out, because our body constantly needs to be in perfect homeostasis, sleep, temperature, pH, like everything. So our body works really, really hard at staying there. And when we have so many things that keep unbalancing us, so what CBD does, it just basically causes balance. So if you're energetic, have no anxiety, no pain, nothing, and you take CBD, it does absolutely nothing for you. Like if I'm in a good mood and I take CBD, I feel absolutely nothing, no matter how much I take. If I am versus if a person is versus if I'm having an anxiety and I take it, then it helps me calm down the anxiety and my natural self comes out. So it's just instead of thinking of CBD treats something, it's almost like CBD removes the block for our wellness to come out.
Right. So it kind of returns your body to its normal state of where it should be.
Totally. Yeah. So on a good day, how do you feel on a good day? Right. Like that's how CBD allows you to feel, kind of thing. So it doesn't give you any feelings. It doesn't it doesn't cause anything. Like it just literally allows your body to heal and to be in its natural state. That being said, there are a lot of claims, and there's also a lot of products that I find do nothing, and a lot of times gimmicky, which is totally fine, because sometimes it's a way for a person to maybe try CBD. Like if a person is scared to try cannabis products and they're trying it in a chocolate form, all of a sudden they might be less scared to try it, or in a mask they might be less scared to try it. So it might be a good step into the right direction. However, I also can see how some, I don't know, you see a bunch of different pain sticks and things like that, and you're and I can't see how a pain, how putting something on your skin is going to get into your joint, and your joint is going to have no pain. That doesn't make sense to me. So and then it might deter people from trying CBD oil internally. Mm-hmm. So there's pros and cons to it.
What is the best way to ingest CBD? Is it topical, or ingest through the oil tincture form?
Yeah, oils are the best. It's under the tongue is the best, because as soon as you swallow it, it goes through the digestive system, and the digestive system is usually not really good, especially women who struggle with our digestion. And I literally haven't met a single woman who doesn't. And when it goes through our digestion, most of it gets lost. However, if you take a high dosage of it, you'll still feel it. Yeah. And then under the tongue, it gets absorbed straight into your bloodstream. And then on skin, a lot of it gets lost, just because like imagine everything that we put on our skin would get absorbed in that way.
Right.
Like we put like, you know, makeup, right?
Yeah.
And there's another vaping. I mean, vaping, I find it's quite dangerous because people lace it with different things. That being said, if a person is having, let's say, panic attacks, vaping is gonna affect you the strongest. So if you're having like let's say a panic attack and you like need to calm down right away, vaping might be the choice for you. But that's not something I usually recommend otherwise, because like, you know, I don't know, just inhaling hot things doesn't seem like a good idea.
Can I just add that I have had the opportunity to try Nadia's Aphrodite oil, the CBD one. So yeah, I put it under my tongue and really helps me fall asleep like right away. So
awesome. That's good to hear.
And usually with other CBD oils, like I feel really groggy in the morning, but this one I didn't. So
that's awesome.
yeah. So
Yay.
there you go.
Yeah, we met at for Local once and did a product exchange, and I love your eyelash
boost.
Yeah. I guess it was the original product,
Yes,
right?
it's our original flagship.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so nice. It just like it like looks nice, it feels nice, it like works. It just is such a good. Yeah, it's a great product.
Thank you.
So speaking of your products, you have 4 products.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what they are and how they're different? And
you're like, I'm like, wait, do I?
How many?
And you know, they all have really, really unique names. I don't want to butcher them, but I'm going to try to say them: Harmonia, Thea Light, and Aphrodite. So yeah, how did you get those names, and how are they different? And someone such as myself, who, you know, I've never, you know, really done CBD, like what would you recommend for, you know, for someone who's new to it? And what is the advisable dosage to take?
Yeah, those are all good questions. So quickly about names. So the names come from Greek goddesses. So the idea of like, I don't know, just the idea of the whole branding is more like empowering women to take care of themselves, to make themselves a priority, to like, you know, spend time with themselves, to just like be with themselves. That's kind of like the whole idea of the brand. And so the whole like Greek goddesses idea was just very aligned. So that's kind of why I went, all of these names have like this after Greek goddesses. It doesn't matter which one you take. They all have the exact same effects. The only difference is the concentration and the flavor. So like Aphrodite has hemp flavor. So hemp flavor is this like nutty, earthy, kind of like a strong olive oil flavor.
I did feel it was very nutty, very like organic.
Yeah, it's like
raw.
That's like, people like when you take it. I feel like if you like green juices and olive oil, you're gonna like that flavor. But if you like don't like that stuff, you're not gonna like that flavor. So it's just like a very like there's no real like health benefits to doing one or the other. I feel like there's a bit of a placebo effect.
Right.
I feel like as soon as I taste the hemp flavor, I'm like, oh, it must be working. It's kind of like coffee. You know, you have your first sip of coffee. Yeah. And you're like, oh, this feels so good. With the other ones, they're all flavorless. So there's no flavor to them. So it's just coconut oil, MCT coconut oil. So yeah, for people that don't like hemp oil. And Theolite, Thea, and Harmonia, they just have different concentrations. So Theolite being the lowest one, Thea, same as Aphrodite, have like our like regular concentration, and Harmonia is the double concentration. Just because it does not matter which concentration you take. It just people that are just starting, they sometimes want to have like a bigger bottle with less CBD oil that they can pay less money up front because they don't know yet if it works or doesn't. But if you're taking it for a long time, let's say you're taking for arthritis and that's something you need to take every single day, and you want to like buy in bulk basically. So that's what concentration is. So you're basically buying in bulk in the same size. So you just need like way less drops, but it has the same effect. So that's all it is. You're just saving money the more concentration there is. Yeah.
Can you, I guess, OD on it, or is there like, since there's no THC, or it's pretty much all natural, like is there?
Yeah, so they actually haven't found the upper tolerance limit for humans. They've tried, so like if like one of the regular bottles, people would take a whole bottle basically a day for 3 to 4 months. That was the study, and they didn't find any adverse effects. So some people can get a little lightheaded if they take too much, or like a little bit less motivated. Like I take it for motivation and for focus. However, I find if I take too much, I might just just be like, la la la, like it's good. Why do I need to work? So yeah, there's a fine balance between the two for sure. But that being said, it's really hard to take that high of a dosage. Like it's not. And when it comes to dosage in general, we are all so different. It's kind of like, you know how eating, you're like, you know, you go out eating with your girlfriend sometimes, and some of us, like, I eat like a ton of food always, and then like I have a girlfriend that would eat like, I don't know, like a tiny little plate, and they'll be like, I'm so full, and I'm like, how are you so full? I'm still like, I still would like to have a second meal just like this. So I feel like it's just like our bodies are so different, our metabolisms are so different. So like there's no rule of thumb of how much you would need. So I just usually say, like, I send a dosage journal where people can write down how much they took and how they felt, and then they can just like find the perfect dosage for themselves, because the only reason you don't want to take more is because it's quite expensive, so you just don't want to be wasting it. But that's kind of the only reason.
We do find with the landscape of the cannabis industry, there's so many rules and regulations. Like, you know, some of the people I know are like, oh, I have this cannabis cream, but I can't sell it, you know, in this country, or like, you know, so many restrictions. So like, what is going on right now with the industry? Like, do you find that there's
it's a mess. It's a one big mess.
Okay.
I was like really on top of it when I got into it, and now I just kind of gave up on it because I'm like, I like, this is just a disaster. They legalized it, but they didn't legalize. First year they didn't legalize actually any other products other than like weed. So for the first year, CBD was like completely not even like legal yet.
Right.
Within last year, they legalized CBD together with cannabis. So in US, CBD is considered to be like a health supplement, basically.
Right. Okay.
So it's like not even like you can find it in malls, you can find it in like drugstores, you can find it anywhere.
Yeah.
In Canada, you can't find it anywhere. And the reason why is because it's actually not legalized as a health product. It's legalized still as cannabis. So you can only buy it in dispensaries. And just the rules and regulations around how you can like brand and market things is just so ridiculous that like a lot of companies can't survive. So it's just like the government, I think, tried to be like conservative about it and to protect the consumer, which is awesome. I just think that a lot of cannabis companies are like, we don't agree. We're just going to wait for you to agree with us because you otherwise are going to kill us all. Like, just the way they legalized it, they kind of like just didn't think about the small guys. Or maybe they did, they just like couldn't include them right away. So, yeah, we're still like in a process of getting legalized and still in a process of getting like into this white market. We're still in the gray zone, technically speaking. But I actually opened up Icaria in US. So I have like a completely different like company set up in US.
Smart. Yeah.
Because I'm fully legal there. It's great.
Yeah, when I was in New York, there were like so many cafes that had like CBD infused like coffee, latte, and it was like, it was a huge there. And then when I tried to bring that idea to Vancouver, I realized that it's illegal to do that. So, and then when I do go to a dispensary to look for a CBD product, they're like, no, it's actually, we don't sell that because it's not not legal. Yeah.
So many regulations. And they're also, I find it's one of those things, it's like government knows it's safe. They're just like, they're working right now with Health Food Canada to like legalize it, but in order to legalize it, you need so much paperwork, so many details, so many laws, right? Like it's not easy. So while they're working on it, they kind of like they're not doing anything with CBD companies. They're just kind of like left us alone for the time being. And then once they get legalized, like we'll apply for the licenses and things like that. But I also find the gray market so far, guys don't like take my word for it, but so far has been so well regulated by itself because the consumer demands it. Like I have all my CBD oils I made like in small batches and then like third party tested by a lab, every single batch, every single thing, like every single like detail is thought through, versus like government won't ask us that, right? And then as soon as the government doesn't ask you that, you're just kind of like, well, like I don't have to do that, right? So it's actually, I find a lot of people complain that like the cannabis that they buy in legal dispensaries is actually worse than the cannabis that they would buy in illegal dispensaries, because like the smaller companies or like these brands are self-regulated, so they actually do their diligence to be a good company because they know that their consumer come back to them because of their quality, right? Versus like all of these like illegal dispensaries, they don't need to put any effort because like they're literally on the shelf because they're legal. So it's just such a mess. It's a mess.
That's crazy.
It's a disaster. So I definitely go as a for future entrepreneurial questions, I definitely go through my ups and downs with that. I'm like, why am I in this market?
Yeah, speaking of which, our next question is, our podcast spotlight a lot of female entrepreneurs, which is just a coincidence that the people that we've interviewed are women. Kudos to all the women in the wellness space. But yeah, tell us a little bit of some of the struggles that you have encountered. I mean, you did mention, the issues with the regulation, especially in Canada. And what advice would you give to, future entrepreneurs or anyone who wants to go and do their own business? Like, what is one piece of advice you would give them?
I think my research your market.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Don't do what I did. Or take a lot of CBD oil to calm yourself down. For entrepreneurs, I honestly feel like starting. Start, just do it. It's the analysis paralysis a lot of times. And I feel like it's funny because I'm right now in a process of starting something different, and it's amazing how difficult it is to start something again. Just not to replace a car, just to have a creative outlet in other ways for me too, just because I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and I'm a little okay, what's my next kind of, I'm an what's it called?
Multi-hyphenate.
Multi-dimensional.
Multifaceted.
And it's hard to start things, right?
Yeah, it totally is. Yeah.
So just start anywhere you are, and that's the hardest thing. And also understand that nobody ever in life or an entrepreneurial journey, and I feel like you ladies are gonna agree with me, has a straightforward journey.
No. Yeah.
It's full of roller coasters and full of doubts. Nobody ever, at no point do you get to the point when you're oh, I've made it. Nobody ever thinks that. Or you do for maybe 30 seconds. And then you're oh, actually I have this, and this that I haven't made. You know what I mean? And then or the fact that it looks on Instagram a lot of times that everybody's having such a good time. Entrepreneurship is hard. It sucks. You're alone. You're struggling. You're in your head. You started it because you're passionate about it, and all of a sudden your passion is killing you. It's just it's a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's a marriage, It's a relationship. You're in it for the long run, so you better freaking love that person.
That's why I'm not getting married.
And I love how your shirt actually says "begin." Very fitting. Yeah. So anyone looking to start your own business, I guess Nadia's advice is begin, start.
Yeah, and just don't expect it to be all rainbows and butterflies, because would you agree with me?
Oh, totally, 100%.
Yeah,
I hear you. Yes.
Yeah, and you feel you're the only one.
Yeah.
You're I'm definitely the only one struggling with this. Everybody else has such an easy. I'm looking at your business and I'm oh, you're doing so well. You're launching all these products, right? And then
it's just all marketing, Just all marketing.
But it's ups and downs, right?
Totally.
Every product is a struggle.
Yeah, exactly. What you said, once I feel we've got to this next step. Oh, never mind. Okay, I have all this more mountains to climb. It's totally crazy.
Totally. And people once I grow to this amount of money. Yeah, but then once you grow to this amount of money, you have
new targets.
People, and you have new targets, and you have more responsibilities, and you have to. Yeah, I have a brother actually. He's only a year older, and he has a tech company, and they were one of the top 5 fastest growing companies in Canada. So they're now at 200 employees, I think. Wow. So they did really, really well. And he every time I have I'm in a really bad mood, I call him and I'm blah blah blah. I just wish I was here with you. And he would be Nadia, you know what? I have 200 people I'm responsible for their salaries. But if things are not going well, the responsibility he has, I'm never mind. I prefer my little
children to care of.
Totally, and you're responsible.
For sure.
You're responsible for people's salaries that it's their
their livelihoods. They have more people's mortgages, and that's kind of your responsibility.
Yeah. 100%. So this idea that somebody has it easier is just such a false idea. So
just have new challenges once you reach a new milestone. It's just never ends. So
100%. So maybe find a person who is further ahead than you and call them up sometimes and ask them how they're doing.
Good advice. Yeah.
Great strategy. Well, that's what they say, right? You're only going to have this amount of time in your entrepreneurial journey. It's going to be at this stage before you have to worry about all the huge, big picture things. So just enjoy this part. You're never going to have this part again.
That's true.
So, just enjoy.
Yeah, I feel like I need to re-listen to all of this.
Your own
In the
advice.
morning.
It's kind of like, I mean, going back to that comparison to like marriage, it's kind of also like dating, right? It's like in the beginning, that like that honeymoon phase is the only time where you
Yeah.
get to kind of enjoy each other, and like you don't really have responsibility. So it's kind of, I feel like what you said, it's just, you know, the beginning, just enjoy the process. And yeah.
Totally. And the growth happens when you're down at the end of the day. Like
Right.
the growth happens through the struggles, right? Like we learn so much. Like I feel like sometimes, you know, like I have a Russian mom, so she's always like, should you go do an MBA? Like, should you go get more education? Or like things like that I feel like immigrants would get me.
We totally get you.
So I'm like, and then like immigrant parents just was like more education maybe. And you're like, Mom, like I honestly feel like a year in business is like more valuable than an MBA. Like it just like the amount of information you consume, the amount of things you learn in 1 year is just absolutely incredible. So if we were to less judge ourselves in like how exactly we moved and more like what skills we've acquired in that year, like I mean that's right.
I agree.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like the list of like programs we've learned, the technical
things I learned in school, I feel like I haven't really totally applied to, like I haven't really used too much of it, you know, for this business. So.
Oh, totally. I have a finance degree, and I'm like, you taught me nothing in school.
Exactly.
You taught me how to evaluate massive corporations. Like, how is that useful? Did you have to do my taxes?
We're doing this recording, you know, in the times of COVID, and how has this impacted you, you know, personally? Like, and what have you been doing to, you know, take care of yourself mentally, and, you know, physically and emotionally?
I found it was been really hard for me, like mentally and emotionally, to go through all of this. I'm a very, I'm extroverted, so, which I didn't know somehow. I somehow thought I'm like this balance, like somewhere between extrovert and introvert. And then once I got isolated from humans, I'm like, I just miss humans. And that's like I think number one thing. And I also have like a very active life usually. Like I travel a lot, like I go out a lot, and like very active. And then all of a sudden, and I work from home, so I'm like, this COVID is gonna be easy. Like I work from home anyways. And then here I'm stuck at home like 24/7. I like literally, like I think week 2, I almost had a nervous breakdown. I was like, I can't do this. Like get me out. And I'm like, there's no way out. Like I can't get out of this. So it was very psychologically difficult for me in that sense. But then I think have you guys read the book Untamed? This new book that came out, Glennon Doyle,
yeah, I love her.
Yeah, I've never read any of her books.
Yeah, her podcasts are great.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get on the podcast.
Yeah, she's
great. My coach sent me her book. It's called Untamed. Highly recommend.
Okay.
For all the women out there, like absolutely amazing. And she and that book, it's like talks about how it's okay that we're not okay. Like, you know, we all heard that. But like she actually like breaks it down how like, you know, like it's fine. Like everybody goes through a hard time and downtime. So just like allowing myself to be in a bad mood has been, I think, like a very eye-opening experience to be like, well, you're in a bad mood, be in a bad mood. Fine.
Just own it, you know?
Fine. Like I'll be with you here in that mood. So I think that was like my biggest lesson. And I think like self-care, weirdly it was a self-care thing. That it was like just allowing myself to be instead of just like forcing myself to be somebody else or do something else. So,
and also, of course, your CBD oil. I'm sure that's been helpful.
Oh my god! My sales, as soon as COVID started, my sales spiked.
I was going to say, has COVID impacted your? I know, you know, it's impacted businesses either in a really positive way, and then there's also business stuff obviously shut down because of it. So
definitely,
I presume for your with all the people like in home sheltering, the anxiety level must be like super high.
Yeah, totally. Especially in April, I felt like people were stocking up, like, you know, like toilet paper situation. And I like actually had to like write an email and be like, guys, like don't stock up. We have enough.
Yeah,
we're fine.
So where can we buy your products?
So I only sell online, and it's Icaria.co, and it's a super easy process. Just any e-commerce store.
And only in Canada? I mean, only in Vancouver or?
Anywhere in Canada.
Oh,
anywhere in Canada and US.
Oh, okay.
Because we have a US, as you said, affiliate. It's we have a completely separate manufacturer in US, and then they send it from US to you. So there's no cross-border, which is illegal. So don't worry. You're not doing that.
Good to know. Good to know.
Well, people ask me that all the time, and I'm like, no. You know who gets in trouble for that? Me. Not gonna do that. People, yeah.
Okay, our last question is, what can we expect from Icaria in the near future?
I'm hoping to, I don't know if you guys see me in person, but my skin has been absolutely horrific since COVID started. It's been like,
I feel like mine's been
because
like
we're staying
freaking,
inside.
yeah. I think the stress, and
The
also
stress.
I feel like my skin has also been kind of freaking out. Also, I notice I'm picking at my face a lot more stuff at home.
Oh, no.
Like just like unconsciously, you're like doing a lot more things. So for me, at least.
I can see that too.
Yeah, I'm just like picking at my face.
And I think I'm moving less too, so I'm wondering if it's hormonal.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyways, I think it's just like a mix probably of everything. And so I've started getting into this whole idea of skincare and CBD in skincare. And we're still like testing it out. So far, I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. But we're right now still in the process of creating it. And we're thinking of also, again, launching other oils, just like different like flavors, different sizes. But this is all still in process. Now I have 2 markets to take care of. So US and Canada. So it's just like all of a sudden harder to do anything. But hopefully growth.
Well, we're looking excited. Yeah, we're looking forward to your new product. Skincare especially.
Skincare, of course.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Nadia, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to another episode of Luna Nectar Universe with Mia and Diana. Get nectarized.